Man, listen, Shedeur we talked about it, Earl. He's talented. Like, he has all the talent and ability you want. He has the leadership qualities you need.
This was not what the NFL was prepared for. Just 7 sessions into his first professional training camp, a rookie quarterback takes the field and begins destroying defensive tactics as if he has been doing it for 10 years. He is analyzing blitzes during play, reading coverages prior to the snap, and torching defensive backs who were meant to make him appear inexperienced. The problem is that Shedeur Sanders wasn't even meant to be in this role. The starter isn't him, he isn't even designated as the backup. But in only 1 week, he's pushed his way into the discussion, causing analysts and NFL veterans to pause and wonder, is this kid hacking the system?
He still broke records that your Pro Bowler and Super Bowl contestants haven't even touched in the NFL level.
Shedeur was my 20th player. He's a first-round caliber player. Like, talent-wise, both those guys, I think, have a huge advantage over Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has to be light years better.
Most people hardly blinked when Shedeur Sanders signed his rookie contract with the Cleveland Browns. It was a typical rookie deal. 4 years, fixed pay, and no eye-popping bonuses. On paper, it appeared to be the standard contract that organizations provide to any quarterback selected in the middle rounds. However, there was more going on behind the scenes than just money. Something more significant was made clear by the way the arrangement was set up. The Browns were considering all of their alternatives. Performance triggers, incentives that might significantly raise Shedeur's salary if he received substantial playing time early, were hidden in the fine print. For a quarterback who is supposed to be developing, that is abnormal. It also prompted a query. Did the Browns already have a suspicion that he could push his way onto the field earlier than anticipated?
He's an actual proven talent. He's proven that every single team you put him on, he becomes better.
Even if the club wasn't ready to officially accept Shedeur's potential, some insiders think this was a covert admission. For others, it was a chess move in case their quarterback room proved insecure. In any case, the contract was more than a formality. It was an indication. Additionally, Shedeur would give the impression that the Browns front office had knowledge that the rest of the NFL did not over the course of the following few weeks. The 7th day of the Browns training camp was not expected to be a pivotal moment. Not for Shedeur Sanders, however. The strategy was straightforward. Over the next few weeks, gradually increase his effort after giving him a few second-team reps and allowing him to settle in. However, football doesn't always play out as planned. One of the league's most aggressive units, the Browns' first-team defense, was positioned opposite him that morning. Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, and Myles Garrett were all facing down a rookie who had yet to take a preseason snap. It was a trial by fire of expectations.
My expectations have absolutely changed. Absolutely. My expectations have changed because a lot of what we're hearing from Cleveland has changed.
The majority of rookie quarterbacks give up at that point. When the pass rush gets closer, they panic, hold the ball too long, or make poor throws. Shedeur didn't. Even the experience took note as he began dissecting the defense with rapid readings, deft timing, and accuracy. By the end of the session, he had put together drive after drive without making the mistakes that novices typically make. Coaches saw more than simply a young quarterback with promise. They observed a competitor who was unfazed by the stakes or the speed. The silent contract provision felt much less imaginary at that moment. Whispers quickly began to circulate outside the practice field. Players in the NFL pay close attention to everything. Additionally, people start talking when a rookie starts making plays that throw off the everyday routine.
The information that was out on Shedeur Sanders came from a lot of people that a lot of people trust and people think that are credible.
A couple of the Browns' seasoned defensive players were seen smiling and shaking their heads off camera after day 7. He's not supposed to be reading that coverage yet, Myles Garrett allegedly said to a teammate. It's not Shedeur. Respect is demonstrated by that. The tone started to change, even on the offensive end. Wide receivers who arrived at camp with the intention of concentrating on building rapport with the starters began to linger after practice in order to catch additional passes from Shedeur. It wasn't required. They desired to. The representatives shared the narrative, but the coaching staff remained anonymous. Shedeur was managing more than just the second team's offense by the following practice. Against the first defense, he was blending in with the first team's receivers. A clue that the group intended to find out if day 7 was an anomaly or the start of something more significant.
And it's that branding, bro, being a business, a walking business brand. He's a 5th-round pick, and he generated damn near well over $300 million already in merchandise sale.
Rookies in the NFL gain respect over time, not just on a big day. However, it was evident that Shedeur had already begun to gain favor in the locker room. The majority of training camp lots are determined on the field. However, in Cleveland, the owner's box began to impact the quarterback discourse. After learning of Shedeur Sanders' breakthrough on Day 7, Jimmy Haslam, who is renowned for his active and occasionally contentious approach to team decisions, reportedly became suddenly interested in the player. According to sources within the organization, Haslam had been reviewing practice videos late into the night, paying particular attention to Shedeur's composure and ability to make decisions under duress. The remark that caused a commotion then appeared. When you see a young guy process that fast, you've got to at least think about the future sooner rather than later, Lamb remarked casually to a small gathering of reporters.
People are trying to assign from a personality standpoint to Shedeur Sanders, and I think that's incredibly unfair to the young man.
The building was rocked by just one sentence. Was this a casual comment that got blown out of proportion, or was the owner pushing the coaching staff toward a serious quarterback competition? It didn't matter to Shedeur. It was an obvious message. He was no longer merely attracting the attention of his teammates. The franchise's senior management had taken note, which might have a profound impact on Shedeur Sanders. The on-field defenders weren't the only ones applying pressure. It was coming from all sides. Veterans were discreetly discussing in the locker room whether the rookie's ascent was beneficial to the club or a setback. Few players admired his confidence and swagger. Others were concerned that it might lead to needless stress in a quarterback room that was meant to be stable before the season.
99% of the online scrutiny is because of my dad. And he is exactly right. That's why it was really a mistake.
The coaching staff was in a precarious situation. They publicly maintained that the depth chart remained unchanged. In private, they were going over the practice footage frame by frame, searching for indications that Shedeur's performance was more than a flash. The conversation gained depth with each accurate toss and well-timed read. Then there was the media analyzing each representative, comment, and sideline response. Within minutes, videos of Shedeur weaving impossible passes went popular on social media, igniting fan discussions and feeding rumors that the Browns may have unintentionally discovered their next hero. Shedeur Sanders went from being a rookie curiosity to Cleveland's most talked-about player in less than a week, and the buzz wasn't going away anytime soon. Every newbie ultimately encounters a turning point. Potential and reality collide at that precise instant. It was approaching quickly for Shedeur Sanders.
So I'm looking at Shedeur Sanders, and I'm understanding that that man's cerebral mindset is not only on the field. It's off the field, the networking, the building of the brand, the understanding of, okay, the NFL could reject you at any given time, so leverage is always the key.
The Browns had planned a full contact drill against their first-team defense, which is led by the indomitable Myles Garrett and is loaded with Pro Bowl quality. No more restricted contact or control exercises. Without the scoreboard, this was as near to an actual NFL game as it gets. This was more than simply a routine for Shedeur. Every snap would be scrutinized by coaches. The owner and the veterans he was attempting to win over would be in the grandstand. They would be prepared to test the rookie's ability to maintain confidence in the face of intense pressure. The quarterback race might change instantly if he succeeded. The story might rapidly change from future franchise quarterback to still needs years to improve if he faltered. There were rumors circulating during camp that this was the unofficial day of his preseason role decision. The depth chart could be permanently altered by a single performance.
I do think he has earned the opportunity because he throws an incredibly good ball, a very catchable ball, and he's just so accurate. His ball placement is excellent. They had a play.
Shedeur was aware of the risks. Could he produce when it counted most? That was the only question. When the whistle blew, all you needed to know was revealed in the first snap. Shedeur Sanders had no intention of surviving. His purpose was to seize control. Myles Garrett's trademark burst smashed through the line on the first drive. The majority of novices would panic. Shedeur slid left, sidestepped, and hit a 20-yard strike into close quarters. First down. The sidelines erupted. Play after play. One of the NFL's most formidable defenses was destroyed by the rookie. Routes with exact timing, laser throws across the center, and even a deep ball that was so well put that the safety shook his head. Even when blitzes came from both sides, he maintained his calm. Shedeur had accumulated several touchdown drives by the end of the scrimmage, but more significantly, He had won respect, something that no contract could purchase. He was being dapped up by veterans who had previously been dubious. Coaches gathered in silence and exchanged glances that said, "We might have a problem or a solution." All of a sudden, the naysayers who had been criticizing him for being overhyped stopped talking. The novice, who wasn't even expected to apply for the position, had turned it into a true contest. The Browns' front management is currently facing a decision that has the power to either define or ruin a franchise. Deshaun Watson appears to be the investment you should defend at all costs. This is your guy, according to the contract, the money guarantee, and the public position. However, Shedeur Sanders is making it hard to ignore what everyone sees on the field. The veteran is being outplayed by him. If you pull the trigger too soon, you run the danger of destroying team cohesion, upsetting your highest-paid player, and sending shockwaves through the locker room. If you wait too long, you risk squandering a rookie's current momentum. The fan base is already divided. Instead of holding on to sunk costs, half of them want the Browns to ride the hot hand and ultimately take a chance on upside. According to the other side, benching Watson at this early stage would be disastrous. Evidence that the company deviates from its plans. There is no going back, regardless of the decision they make. The future arrives early if Shedeur begins and prevails. Every defeat would intensify the storm if they keep him on the bench. In any case, Cleveland will soon discover what happens when anticipation turns into reality. The Browns may attempt to buy time. However, time is of the essence in the NFL. Shadeur's every toss. The whispers become chants with each drive he conducts. It's now a question of when rather than if. The coaches, the fans, and the veterans all sense it. And that kind of energy doesn't wane. Rather, it surges in Cleveland, a city in dire need of a football savior. The next picture may mark the beginning of a new era or the first fracture in the Browns' well-constructed strategy. It's simply a matter of time until the entire structure collapses after the first crack appears. The Browns must make a decision quickly. The storm grows louder because Shedeur Sanders isn't starting every day.